Hello and welcome back, adventurers. This is Captain TTRPG, and today we're talking about Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Hello and welcome back, adventurers. We are back looking at skills, and today we take a shot in the dark with stealth. You know what stealth is about. I don't think I have to talk to you about that, what that means. Nope, it's stealth. There are 3 untrained actions and no trained actions in this case. Before we get into those, it's important to understand that there are levels of visibility, and you have to understand how they work and how sneaks plays into that. There are already amazing videos out there that get into great breakdowns of how all this works, and I'm not the one to give it to you, so I really recommend you check it out, especially probably from how it's played, but there's other options of who you can look at as well. There's good examples out there. I'm just not going to give you a great one. Having said that, let me give you a little something at least to work with before I jump in. When you're out in the open, you are observed. If you are behind something, like a partial wall, then you are benefiting from cover. If you are behind an effect like fog or something like that, you are concealed. It is also possible to be hidden by something like complete darkness. These are just some of the effects and some of the ways it plays into visibility. And I bring up these ones specifically because they're going to pop in here when I talk about different feats and some of the effects here. So, our first action is hide. This is one action. When benefiting from cover, which I mentioned, greater cover or concealment, you are allowed to hide, attempting to become hidden. The GM is going to make a secret stealth check for you against the perception checks of those observing you. You get bonuses for cover here. If you succeed, you become hidden to that creature, or remain that way or better if you are already hidden. So you can become more than just hidden if you already were hidden when you do this. You lose the hidden condition if you do anything other than sneak, step, or hide. Speaking of sneak, this is one action. You need to be hidden or undetected or unnoticed, I assume, although I don't think it actually says that. In order to do this, you move up to half your speed. At the end of your movement, the GM is going to make a secret check to see if you are noticed. You gain bonuses for cover again, or where you end up. There's no bonus during movement though. If you don't end concealed or behind cover, then you are observed. If you succeed, you remain in that state during and after the movement. A creature can try to seek you, and if it fails or crit fails, then you are still hidden, or you can possibly even become invisible to it. And our final action in stealth is conceal an object. You try to hide an object on your person. The GM makes a secret stealth check against perception of passive observers. Creatures can make perception checks against your stealth DC to actually look for it, and if you hide something elsewhere and a creature tries to look for it, it remains hidden if they fail to seek. So, lots of checks going on here, but still only 3 actual actions. Hide and sneak absolutely have combat application, but there is a lot of work on the GM here. I don't like hidden checks very much. I understand why they exist, but something seems wrong about them, to me anyway. But let's dive into the feats and see what we can do with feats to help us out. First off, we have Experienced Smuggler, level 1, trained in stealth. When the GM rolls your stealth check to conceal small objects past observers, they're going to use your roll or 10, whichever is higher. If you are a master, it's 15 or higher, and legendary, you just succeed. You can just get stuff past people. It's fine. Terrain Stalker, level 1, and this is trained in stealth. Choose rubble, snow, or underbrush. If you are in this type of terrain and undetected by all non-allies, you don't need to sneak to stay undetected. You do only have to move 5 feet at a time, so that's the fastest you can go, and get no closer to an enemy than 10 feet away, although that's pretty close. In exploration, in this terrain, you can get up to 15 feet from enemies without them noticing you, and you can take this multiple times to gain multiple terrain types. Armored Stealth. This is level 2 now and requires Expert in Stealth. If you're in non-noisy armor, you reduce the stealth penalty by 1, by 2 if you're master, or by 3 if you're legendary in stealth. In noisy armor, you can ignore the noisy penalty if your strength is high enough. Then we have quiet allies. This is level 2, requires expert in stealth. When the party is avoiding notice, you can just use the lowest modifier and roll that for everyone rather than having to have everybody roll. This doesn't count for initiative rolls. Next up, we have Shadow Mark. Level 2 requires expert in stealth. When you stealth to avoid notice following somebody, they get a -2 to the perception check to notice you, a -3 if you're master, and a -4 if you are legendary. If initiative is rolled while you're like this, the creature gets the same penalty to their initiative roll and perception to see you. So even if initiative is rolled, they're probably not going to notice you and they're going to take a hit. Feigns Escape. This is level 4, is 2 actions and requires expert in stealth, and you must have playing cards to take it. You pull out a deck of cards and flip them about, making yourself hidden, and then you sneak. And this is enough to allow you to sneak for the turn. So, very odd, but I like it. Foil Sense. Level 7 requires Master now in stealth. Whenever you avoid notice, hide, or sneak, you are considered to be taking precautions against special senses. So normally, if you sneak, you're not taking a precaution against people trying to smell you, for instance, but this accounts for special senses, which can be really useful the higher you go. Swift Sneak, level 7, requires Master. You can move at full speed with whatever speed you have while sneaking. So you can even sneak fly. Swift Sneak is really strong. Vanish into the Land. This is level 7, requires Master in stealth, trained in survival, and terrain stalker. Lots of things you need, but actually not that hard to put together. When in your terrain from Terrain Stalker, you can hide and sneak without cover or concealment. You can just do it. So lots of requirements, but really strong, and good reason to take maybe every train in Terrain Stalker if you really want to be that stealthy character. And finally, Legendary Sneak. This is level 15, and it requires Legendary, and you have to have Swift Sneak, which is good anyway, so it's not really a hindrance having it. You are always sneaking unless you don't want to be. So unless you tell the GM you're not sneaking, you're sneaking. You can hide and sneak with no cover or concealment at all. So don't need Vanishing to Land if you're going to get all the way up here. In Exploration, you can do something else while avoiding notice, because you're just always avoiding notice. It's just a thing you're doing. That's a lot of power in that Legendary Sneak feat. The classes that easily take advantage of Sneak, thanks to primary ability score being Dexterity, are Champions, Fighters, Exemplars, Monks, Rangers, Rogues, Swashbucklers, and Gunslingers. Rogues and the Sniper Gunslingers are trained in Stealth at level 1. For the GMs, so many checks for you to worry about here. It's crazy the number of secret checks you have to do. This is a heavy one because of the secret checks, knowing the stealth skill bonuses for players, understanding all the concealment and all the rules, having to keep track of perception DCs for all the creatures and the direction they're viewing players from. It can be honestly really challenging to run this. The way I've handled this so far is to try and simply base it on average perception DC for the creatures in the area, or just using a standard DC, honestly. I've even moved to having the player make the stealth check for hiding and sneaking themselves instead of me. Yes, it's not hidden anymore, and maybe they gain a little too much information, but it also gives them some agency in it. They still don't know the perception DCs, so they don't have all the info. They don't know if they've necessarily been noticed, but at least it keeps them involved, like I said, and it's more interesting that way. But at the very least, I suggest simplifying it for yourself a little bit by either moving to standard DCs or just finding the average DC of creatures in the area and using that, so it's not every single one of them. With that, it is time for me to slink back into the shadows while you seek me out. And as always, adventure on.